cost of AIDS drugs in Africa to fighting climate change. Now, CGI, Clinton Global Initiative, accelerated the trend of corporate committing to fund social change. At least they made it part of their PR campaigns. Now, instead, Band's allies say that he was the victim of a whisper campaign by Clinton world rivals, mainly Chelsea Clinton. Remember, Clinton saw Band as his son. He didn't have a son, only a daughter. Okay, so Clinton family members, especially Chelsea, was jealous of his favorite son status and business success, which, they point out, has continued after he cut ties from the Clintons. Doug made a lot of money. This is the quote. Doug made a lot of money. Was the Clinton connection helpful? 100%. But it discounts how smart Doug is. This is according to an anonymous Clinton Foundation donor. The source was one of many Clinton World's insiders who would only speak on background. The split was real, he said, and is deep. There's nothing in it for me to get in the middle of it. So that's the last this guy commented. Now, again, he was unnamed. Now, as a rule, Band does not give interviews. But over the past year, he opened up to Vanity Fair about his years in the Clintons' innermost circle. And he spoke at a moment when Americans in general, and Democrats in particular, are wrestling with Clinton's complicated legacy in profound ways. So kudos to Gabriel Sherman for getting this out of this guy. Okay. Clinton's Me Too history, that's one big deal. His signing of a 1994 crime bill that was actually backed by Joe Biden in the Senate, by the way, that ushered an era of mass incarceration of black and brown men, and a coziness with Wall Street in an age when extreme income equity is being re-examined in a new critical light. Clintonism was based on the baby boomer credo that you can truly have it all. The Trump era was a direct, if not deeply hypocritical, reaction to the rules don't apply to me, MO, that the Clintons have so often practiced on the national stage for 3 decades. Practically speaking, this is important, practically speaking, if not for the Clintons' baggage, there would have been no President Trump. And if you look at it, if you compare Clinton to Trump, so much of it is the same. Now, Band has been doing his own reckoning. Now, during a series of wide-range conversations and email exchanges, he looked back on the highs and the lows in the Clinton years with a mix of pride and affection, but also anger and resentment. His reflections were often raw and unfiltered, in the way an adult child might talk about unresolved issues with their parents. Now, they also tend to arrive with crystal clear 2020 hindsight, which is always the case, isn't it? At other times, Band sounded relieved that he had moved on. It wasn't the end. It was, in the end, the best thing that happened to and for me. That's what Band said. I was able to focus on my family, not theirs, my life, not his. So after 20 years, he cut ties, and he had his own life back, according to Band. Now, for the first time since 2012, but really not since 1992, there wasn't a Clinton running for something. With the Clinton era sliding into history, Band wanted to add his own account to the record. Now, what we have discussed the history of an accurate reflection upon it. That's what Band said. He may come off as hostile or angry, but it's just the raw truth and facts that transpired. I think that's important for people to understand. Now, this is what Band told the author, Gabriel Sherman. Now, on the morning of January 21st, 2001, Band walked into the kitchen of Clinton's tasteful Dutch colonial office in Chappaqua, New York, to report for his first day as aide to America's newest ex-president. Clinton was out. And Clinton kicked off his post-presidency at one of the lowest moments in his public life. That was his 11th hour pardon of fugitive financier Mark Rich, if you remember that. Nobody wanted to be around Clinton. Nobody wanted to work for him. He was a pariah. Now, Clinton's approval rating, which was 57% when he left office, plunged to 39% after the Mark Rich pardon controversy raged. That's a huge drop. Making matters worse, Clinton had more than $10 million in legal bills left over from his impeachment hearing, and no real plans to make money beyond writing his memoirs and giving speeches. How was he going to make the money back? Now, with Hillary living primarily in Washington, she's now a U.S. Senator, and Chelsea studying abroad at Oxford, Clinton seemed deeply depressed and lonely to Band. There was no one around. Doug Band was it, said a former Clinton official. Band would listen to Clinton tell war stories late into the night as they played Clinton's favorite card game, which is a variety of hearts. Other times, Band would educate Clinton. He was out of touch, said Band, with the rest of the world. He asked me one night to explain what's going on with a show called Friends. So Clinton really wasn't up on pop culture, which is not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a thing. So he was his sounding board, his info board, so to speak. And it was also an irony that their bond, another irony to their bond is that Band really isn't a passionate Democrat. In fact, he grew up the youngest of four brothers in a Republican household in Sarasota, Florida. Band's father was a wealthy real estate developer and helped Band score his first job in Washington, which was an internship for GOP Congressman Dan Miller. Now, Band said he voted for John McCain in 2008. He voted for Mitt Romney in 2012. He wouldn't say who he voted for in 2016 or 2020, however. Again, another link Clinton to Trump. For many years, Trump was no Republican. He did a lot of Democratic things, okay? And Clinton, his number one guy, his right-hand man, was kind of a Republican, okay? Now, Band considered working for Goldman Sachs after leaving the White House, but he ultimately saw Clinton as a more exciting entrepreneurial challenge. Band also thought of himself as a management consultant rescuing a troubled company, or more accurately, a talent manager reviving the stalled career of a fading star. Clinton just showed up and did whatever Band told him to do. That's why it worked so well for 10 years, the 10 years after Clinton left the White House. Now, the turnaround plan started with a brokered ceasefire with members of the vast right-wing conspiracy. Remember that term? Band arranged private lunches between Clinton and a guy named Richard Mellon Scaife, David Koch, Rupert Murdoch, Roger Ailes, others, okay? In fact, Band called author Chris Ruddy, and he said, hey, let's try to find some common ground. Who was Chris Ruddy, you ask? Chris Ruddy was the guy who published a book that accused the Clintons of murdering White House lawyer Vince Foster. Band said, we had lunch with Clinton and Ruddy in Harlem. It was supposed to be an hour and ended up going almost 4 hours. I'm sorry, 3 hours. Now, Band's ultimate goal was to transform Clinton from a beleaguered politician remembered for sex scandals and debating what the meaning of is into the world's philanthropist in chief. He had to reinvent Clinton. Band came up with the concept at the 2003 World Economic Forum as he watched attendees flock to Clinton's like groupies. In 2005, Band convinced Clinton to host his own version of Davos. Celebrities, billionaires, CEOs descended on New York to mix and mingle while making pledges to donate to charity. The Clinton Global Initiative quickly established itself as one of the hottest tickets on the conference circuit. In 2007, Gallup ranked Clinton's favorability at 63%. Now, Clinton was happy because it gave the CGI what he wanted, a redemption and being back in the spotlight. Yeah, they were looking at Bill and smiling once again. Now, as the impresario of CGI, Band became a central node in the network of the most powerful people on the planet. Clinton didn't carry a cell phone or use email. Anyone who wanted to speak to Clinton had to go through Band. Most petitioners didn't get through the door. Not surprisingly, that hacked off a lot of people. Now, you make so many enemies when you're the right-hand guy to a powerful person, you just can't make everyone happy. That's what Chris Ruddy said, the guy who wrote the book about Vince Foster, who's now a Clinton buddy. Amazing. Now, Band didn't help himself by coming across to many as a self-important, pompous ass. You had to kiss Doug's ass to get anywhere. said Ruddy. It was like Doug beginning to think he was Bill Clinton. That was according to a Clinton advisor who dealt frequently with Band. Clinton ignored Band's critics because Band was getting the results. Remember, one of the things that Clintons always did, the end justified the means. Now, Band's relationship with Clinton rocketed into Band's stratosphere of a Manhattan social scene. He frequented New York hotspots like Bungalow 8 and Budokan. He dated Naomi Campbell. In 2007, Band married a lady named Lily Raff, okay? And billionaires came to the wedding, okay? Now, here's the interesting thing. Clinton delivered the toast at Band's wedding. And here's what Clinton said. If there's anyone I want in a foxhole with me, it's Doug. That was Clinton's toast, according to Band. Now, politics is the Clinton family business, and it was inevitable that Band would get squeezed between Bill and Hillary's competing ambitions and conflicting priorities. It's hard to overstate how parallel Bill and Hillary's lives have become by the 2000s. It was separate worlds that had little overlap, Band said. Band was Bill's guy, which meant he saw Hillary and her career as a threat. I wanted him to stay out of politics and do great things. As Hillary's 2008 run approached for presidency, the tensions played out and the campaign was brought on by unwelcome scrutiny of Bill's post-presidency. How exactly had Bill earned that $109 million after leaving office? The Wall Street Journal uncovered Band's role in brokering a $100 million real estate deal between Italian con artist Raffaello Folari and Ron Burkle, a Clinton Foundation donor, and a Clinton Foundation donor named Michael Cooper. A New York Times investigation exposed how Canadian mining mogul Frank Gusara won a lucrative uranium mining concession in Kazakhstan 2 days after he and Bill dined with Kazakhstan strongman president. And months later, Gusara donated $31 million to the Clinton Foundation and pledged $100 million more. That's that whole uranium thing that you hear about in the news with Hillary and Bill Clinton. Now, meanwhile, Bill's erratic behavior during the 2008 Democratic primary torched his statesman's image. He dismantled everything we had done, said Band. Bill took on the role of Hillary's attack dog and went aggressively after Barack Obama. As the primary dragged on, Bill shouted at voters and reporters in a series of rope line meltdowns. The spectacle of a former president dissing America's would-be first black president went viral. Now, prominent Democrats call the outburst bizarre, ill-tempered, and ill-founded. In fact, even Al Sharpton said Bill Clinton just needed to shut up. Now, at the time, Band attributed Bill's mistakes to the after effects of his 2004 heart attack. Okay, and he'd being rusty because, he had not really run for a campaign for a while. But a lot of it was because of a visceral dislike of Hillary's opponent. Clinton did not like Barack Obama at all, and Obama drove him nuts. Now, looking back, however, Band thinks Bill may have consciously or unconsciously not wanted Hillary to win. He was used to it being all about him, and if she won, it would be all about her. That's not how he lived his life for 4 decades leading up to the election. In her White House, he would be back under the microscope, but without the benefit of being in charge. Now, Hillary's team faulted Band for failing to rein in his boss. The view was Band was an enabler of Bill's behavior. A Hillary Clinton advisor said, "It's a critique that still grates. The idea that anyone can control a person, especially a former vice president of the United States, is completely ridiculous." That's according to Band. Now, when Obama offered Hillary the chance to be America's chief diplomat after she lost the election, of course, in November, Band was thrilled. That was the Secretary of State job. In fact, the job of Secretary of State had historically been the most prestigious and apolitical of all cabinet appointees. So Hillary's post would allow Band to put politics behind and refocus on Bill's philanthropy and start the long process of repairing his lost reputation. He built it up once, he could do it again. But Hillary did not want to work for Obama. She wasn't over the